Good afternoon, everyone. Nikhil Mathur, excited to be a part of this webinar today. And I would be talking to you all around the huge market opportunity we're seeing for data analytics in India. If you can move to the next slide, please. So data is a strategic asset for every organization. It's not just for new businesses and gaming, but what we're seeing is data has gone from being somewhat cumbersome and expensive to store, really becoming the lifeblood of many a company's business model. If I have to look at the last 5 to 7 years, there's some major industry trends we are seeing, and which is why I just said what I said, right? So the first major trend we're seeing is that the amount of data generation has increased many folds. There's more data getting generated now from unstructured data sources, social feeds, Twitter, IoT devices, sensor devices, and really getting this data together from structured and unstructured data sources to derive insights. Well, absolutely, the amount of data generations increased significantly. The second trend we see is that with the cloud coming into picture, customers are no longer have to think about what data to store and what not to store, because the cost of storage has come down significantly. If I have to look back at 5, 6 years, and there was a time when a lot of companies were looking at big appliances, buying them. There was a capital expenditure to it. There was an annual recurring cost for it. And just to give you a point-in-time example, if you look at Amazon S3, which is the storage we have on the cloud, the cost of storing a terabyte of data per month is just $23. So the cost of storing data has come down. That's the second trend. The third trend we see is, again, with cloud coming into picture and with pay-as-you-go pricing models, some innovative pricing models around spot, reserved instances. Customers can analyze data to gain insights in a variety of ways. If I have to look at the Indian market per se, India is undergoing a massive mobile and data revolution. In India, we have 1.2 million plus connected devices, and the average data usage of 8.3 GB per user per month. India is the second largest ISP market in the world, the third largest startup market in the world. And in the last 5 years, we've seen in India move from being a sparsely connected to a hyper-connected digital economy. If I have to talk about the market per se, in 2019, the analytics market was a $3 billion market in India, which is expected to double down by 2025 and reach $6 billion. So increasingly, customers are wanting to leverage data analytics to drive their top-line revenue growth, consolidate their bottom line, and enhance customer experience. If you can move to the next slide. So I talked about how data is exponentially growing, and it's coming from a variety of different sources. And what we hear from companies is that they struggle to capture, store, and analyze this data, which is getting generated by today's modern and digital businesses. And which is where this increasingly diverse data, it's analyzed by many people and it's consumed by many applications. And Gartner also states that one of the top technology areas where CIOs are increasingly wanting to increase their investments is business intelligence and data analytics, and which is where it's of paramount importance to measure return on investment on digital activities. And again, data analytics has been taken more seriously by all organizations. If we can move to the next slide, please. Now, even analytics is done by a variety of users in an organization, right? So it's not restricted to one particular role type. While we have analytics users in the CIO org, but often we see business decision makers leveraging analytics to drive business growth, and which is where there are so many data leaders which are there in companies now whose job is to make sure that they can get the data analyzed and really see how that can be leveraged to get meaningful insights for the business, right? So there are a variety of users, and some of the use cases which we see and which is covered in the next slide, if you can change that. One of them is data warehouse modernization. And data warehouse, increasingly, I mentioned at the starting that there was a lot of investment which was being put in buying appliances for data warehouses, but look, we now see a huge opportunity for customers to kind of migrate their legacy data warehouses onto the cloud and make sure that the total cost of ownership can come down, the development cost can come down, and again, they could look at retiring some of those legacy data warehouses which they have and move to the new age cloud-based data warehouses to get better performance and better scalability for their applications. Big data, data lakes is the other use case which we see. And again, to get data from diverse sources consolidated into an environment from where one could use a variety of purpose-built tools for analytics. Increasingly now customers are looking at setting up a data lake environment. What we are also seeing is again, real-time streaming and analytics. So again, if you look at manufacturing sector, you'll probably have data coming from IoT devices, streaming devices, and doing analytics on top of that is again an important use case. And I'll cover some of the Indian specific use cases we are seeing a little later, but absolutely, be it operational and search analytics, ad hoc reporting, self-service business analytics, which users are wanting to do. These are some of the common use cases we see. Next slide, please. And not only data analytics, we're obviously seeing a huge opportunity for customers to leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions to drive better insights. And again, some of the statistics you see on the slide with the cloud coming into picture and the kind of data volumes which have been growing. I think the resources available on the cloud make it much more cost effective for companies to do analytics and to do artificial intelligence and machine learning. And again, there was a time when AIML was probably limited to a few major tech companies and hardcore academic researchers, but that's no longer the case. It's come from being an aspirational technology to a mainstream technology extremely fast. If you could move to the next slide. And which is where the applicability of machine learning is across industry segments. And there are a variety of horizontal as well as industry specific use cases. One could look at solving using machine learning. And again, the use cases cut across forecasting, personalization, transcription, contact center, fraud detection. But again, there are a lot of use cases we're seeing across industry verticals as well. And maybe let me take you through some of the use cases we're seeing in the Indian market, right? And again, IDC also predicts that if you look at machine learning and cognitive technologies, that's likely to be a $50 billion market globally by 2021. And again, when I go in, when we talk to BFSI customers, banking, some of the analytics and AIML use cases we see are around customer risk profiling, fraud detection, hyper-personalization for insurance sellers, smart underwriting solutions, credit appraisal, solutions. Then in case of retail e-commerce, we increasingly see customers wanting personalization, recommendation options. I'm sure all of you would be going to Amazon and shopping. Well, 35% of the Amazon business is powered by a recommendation engine. So, which is where you shop one particular item, you get those suggestions and recommendations because you shopped this. Why did you also look at some of the other options? And which is where increasingly e-commerce companies are wanting to make sure that they can get those recommendations going for their customers. Also sales forecasting systems, we're seeing customer POS analytics being another use case. Again, demand forecasting, order forecasting, warehousing management, supply chain optimization. Again, these are some of the other use cases which we see. In manufacturing, we're talking to a lot of companies around smart factories. How can we help with predictive and preventive maintenance? So, which is where you're capturing, data real time from some of the devices and kind of getting analytics there to help manufacturing companies with the predictive and preventive maintenance. We're talking about connected cars and how we can get some of the insights to really help service the automobile customers. Again, and the use cases cut across industries. I could talk about CPG, quick service retail outlets. In India, Domino's, Jubilant FoodWorks is a referenceable customer for us. BFSI, we have customers like HDFC Life Insurance. Again, if we talk about CPG, we have customers like Hindustan Unilever, and again, we are seeing traction across sectors, even healthcare sectors, and especially in these COVID times, we are seeing how we want to really come up with innovative use cases, innovating both on the solutioning front as well as the cost front to solve meaningful business problems for our customers. Next slide, please. So I would want to leave you with a couple of thoughts, and again, before doing that, just wanted to emphasize on the strong partnership which Qubole and AWS have, and we've been innovating on the data front, and you see multiple customer names, and these are big customers. Two of the esteemed customers will be speaking in the panel today. We also have other customers like Swiggy, Capillary, and Angel Booking, and so on and so forth. And Qubole and AWS, have really come a long way in helping customers realize the full potential. Can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah, so there's this parting thought which I have, and I again at Amazon we have this in our DNA that again it's a company which emphasizes a lot on innovation, and to innovate, one has to try out a lot of experiments, and which is where if you have to experiment, the cost of failure or the collateral damage has to be less, right? And AWS and Qubole essentially help customers make sure that they can innovate, try out a lot of experiments, and yet ensuring that the cost is really low so that they can keep trying those experiments and innovating. And that's one of the sayings from our CEO Andy Jassy, which I felt was very relevant to the discussion today. With that, thank you so much. I would hand it over to the next speaker now to take this forward and talk to you a little bit more around TCO innovation on the cloud. Thank you.